What up, everybody? This is your boy Greg, and you are here for another installment of the Beer Flow podcast. What's going on, everybody? How's everyone feeling? We told you we had some big things coming up. I didn't lie to you. We got more to come. Can't wait to tell you guys about it. So in these interactions we've been having with some of our field trips, we've been talking to people, brewers, people, just fellow beer geeks, and this and that, and started talking about like trends and, you know, what's kind of been annoying people, and as far as things going on in the beer world, you know, what don't you like that's coming out? What do you like that's been coming out, and this and that, and kind of one of the I don't want to say themes, but we have heard this recurring topic of, well, to keep it kind of hip hop, like Q-Tip said. Well, Daddy, don't you know that things go in cycles? So one of the big things that I remember talking about was everyone was so there were people that are kind of just being beaten over the head with the, you know, big IPA, bigger, and I get it. I as a hophead, I totally get it. I understand how people aren't the biggest fans, or at least, you know, from a production standpoint, you know, maybe bigger isn't necessarily better. So what else? Then what? Well, like I said, like Q-Tip said, things go in cycles. So something I personally believe, I believe that the Pilsner, yes, the Pilsner style of beer will make a comeback. And this is the Beer Flow podcast, Beer 101, the Pilsner episode. Okay, so for some of you who are newer to the Beer Flow podcast, when we first came out, we did a series of what we called Beer 101s, and one of the subjects of one of the Beer 101 episodes, what we did slightly talk about Pilsners and what it was, this and that. If you wanted to check out some of those older episodes, you can. You can go to iTunes, you can go to Stitcher, you can go to SoundCloud, you can go to Google Play. You can catch us on YouTube, and yeah, iHeartRadio. God bless them. Thanks for having us. We're now on iHeartRadio. You can check us out. But in some of those older episodes, we just barely kind of touched upon what is a Pilsner. So let's break that down. Pilsner, it's a beer. Okay, let's really go back. From the historical standpoint, Pilsners were a beer that was first brewed in Bohemia, which was a German-speaking province in the old Austrian Empire. I know it sounds like a textbook, I know, but that's the origins of it. It was named from the city Pilsen, Pilsen. Okay, so Pilsners they're a pale beer, and they usually range from about high 3s to maybe about a low 5% ABV. So they're not super crazy high, you know, ass kicker beers, but they're, for the most part, they're really clean. They have a really distinct taste to them because of the hops and because of the grains that are used. It's going to have it's a very distinguishable taste. Sometimes if you may see it on print as Pilsner, Pilsner, Pilsener, so it'll Pilsener, or it'll just be a Pils, Pils. So those are going to, I know it sounds remedial, but okay. So like in the 1840s, most of the Bohemian beer were top fermented, which, for those of you who don't know, top fermented beers are ales. A-L-E-S. They're ales. And with ales, there was a lot more, I guess you could say, freedom. People were making it kind of loosey-goosey, just kind of a free-for-all. So the standards may have dropped a little bit when they were making the ales back then, and some of the consumers were getting pissed off. And so what they were doing, there was a revolution, and they were literally dumping these full barrels. Like I said, think of the old school cartoons with the big barrels of beer, big barrels of ale. They were dumping these in protest of how crappy they were. So, they started brewing these beers, and they started, instead of top fermenting them, they bottom fermented it for a little bit more, for purity reasons, for quality reasons, for longevity reasons. For those of you who don't know, when you bottom ferment, that then becomes a lager. That's why we always, you talk to beer geeks, and I know I've said it plenty of times. When you make a lager, there's no hiding. Any impurities, any imperfections, they're going to come out. So that was kind of the standard they created for themselves. And that was it. That was kind of how the Pilsners came about. So, like most things, change only comes through revolution. So that's where the Pilsner came from. To give you a little bit more, into it, there's basically going to be three styles of Pilsner. You're going to have your European style Pils, which is color-wise, it's probably a little bit of a golden color. A light gold. We'll say that. A little bit light gold. It's going to be a little bit sweeter in taste. And I'm trying to think. I would probably say, like, the best examples of that. Now, like I said, it does have a distinct flavor. So think of when you were a kid and you heard about import beers and you tried it, and think of, like, I know I hate saying this, but I used to always think of, like, skunky beers that smelled nasty and funky in the bottle. They were skunky. That's because of the hops and the grains that are used to make these European beers. And more than likely, when you get a skunky beer, it's because it's bad, got, exposed to too much light, maybe temperature change, whatever the reason is. That's usually why you get skunky beer. But there was, beneath all that was this very distinct European taste, and it's one a European style Pilsner. It can also be made with grains other than barley malt. So there you go. Another style of Pilsner is the Czech Pilsner. That's definitely be a golden color. And for some reason, there's a high foaminess to it. But it's lighter in taste. It's not as heavy tasting. And, maybe that's why you get a little bit more foam on there. You're releasing some of those gases, so it's definitely going to go down a lot. It's not going to be so heavy and weighted in your stomach. A good European example of that, and I'm sure people have seen it, beer called Pilsner Urquell. That's a great little Czech Pilsner. Don't worry, I'm going to get to some American stuff, but I just want to get to the three main Pilsners. And last but not least is the German Pilsner. To the sight, it's, that probably the lightest in color of all of them. It's going to be more straw-like color. As dark as it would go, it'd be like a light gold, but it's going to be definitely color-wise, it's going to be the lightest of the three. It's going to have more of a bitter taste. And bitter, as we all know, it's more than likely, it's from the hops and the hops they use. But those German Pilsners are going to be a little bit more hop forward, so you're going to get more of that bitter taste, which was absolutely intentional. So, if you get a German Pilsner, be prepared. It's not going to be like a crazy California hop, but it is going to be more bitter in comparison to the other Pilsners that are, Czech Pilsners or your European Pilsner. So the best examples of that are going to be the names you know and love, or at least know and have heard of. It's going to be Beck's. It's going to be a beer called Warsteiner. It's going to be St. Pauli Girl. Those are going to be the big ones. Some other examples of the regular European. I'm a little backtrack here. So the European style pills, probably the most recognized names for that are going to be your Amstels, your Heineken, and your Stella Artois. Those are going to be the biggest examples of a European style pills. And like I said, Czech Pils is going to be Pilsner Urquell, and a German Pilsner, you're going to have Beck's St. Pauli Girl of Warsteiner. Whew. Man, it's kind of a lot for German, or at least that little tiny region of the world. And like I said, when I first started drinking beer, when I thought of imports, that little section of the world was the first thing I thought of. No clue back then about, Belgium and, believe me, it's a great big world, lots of great beer. Now, okay, let's bring it all back to the good old US of A. Now, let's think about like the late 90s. Well, I guess you could say mid 90s. Think of like when the brew houses, brew pubs, when they first started popping up all over the place. And when they started, that's kind of when the micro beer scene started around that time. At least that's when it started to get really big. And normally they kind of they brewed beers by the colors. They'd make a dark ale. They'd make, maybe they would make a red, and then they would make a blonde. So, and more times than not, when they would make a blonde, they may just say blonde, just for one, it's a fun word to say, but they would make a Pilsner. And sometimes, there were brew houses that did advertise the fact that they were making a Pilsner. Why would they do that to, American brew houses? It's the same thing. It's, if it's European, if it's imported, it's better. It's special. It's something that we don't have here, which, just from a marketing standpoint, that makes sense, because you definitely want to get something that you may not be able to get anywhere else. But, break it down. It sounds fancy. I have a European chocolate. I have a European beer. Okay, that definitely sounds better than whatever's going to be at Joe Schmo's liquor store down the street. So I get that. Plus, what I think too is that a lot of these brew houses, they were doing everything they could to separate themselves from Joe Schmo's liquor. They were trying to separate themselves from big macro beers that everyone knew. They wanted to bring in people that were going to try stuff that they hadn't tried, that wasn't available. And so like a Pilsner was definitely a perfect opportunity to kind of seize that moment, take that opportunity to get them to try something. And let's face it. 2/3 of the world's beer are Pilsners. That's a huge number, 2/3. And so, people that were crafting beer, they knew that. So they said, all right, let's bring it. Let's give it to them. So now that brings us to today. Pilsners they're not everywhere. You're going to have a better chance at finding a big old crazy double IPA than you will finding a big old crazy tasty Pilsner. But like we always try to say here at the Beer Flow, we're helpers. We want to help you guys out. Here are what I think are some good examples of some Pilsners done right they're available for I'd say pretty nationally. You can get them. It's not going to be too hard of a hunt to find these down. But all right, so here, Lagunitas, we know they have great distribution now. They're everywhere. They do have the Lagunitas Pils. That is a Czech style Pils, so definitely worth checking out. See what I did there? Just kidding. Sierra Nevada, their Nooner Pilsner. I know that personally, when I first saw Nooner, I thought it was a session. So immediately, I'm kind of a jerk about that. I was immediately turned off. But then I actually picked up a bottle and they said, "Oh, it's a Pilsner," and I was a little taken. I was a little surprised. It's great. It's a really, really good beer. So definitely check out the Sierra Nevada Nooner Pils. But one of my favorite Pils, it's a go-to. It's probably one of my, I definitely say it's underrated as far as I forget about it at times. But from Fort Bragg, California, the North Coast Brewing Company, they have the Scrimshaw Pilsner. Man, that stuff is good. Just, if you do see it, please pick up a sixer. Yeah, they do come in 6-pack. I was thinking Ultra. Anyway, I was thinking of a different beer that comes in a 4-pack, but no, the Scrimshaw comes in a 6-pack. It is really, really good. It's definitely hearty enough that, yes, it's a great summertime beer, but even with summer winding down right now, it's good any time of the year. It's got great flavor. Please, when you get a chance, if you see it, check out the North Coast Scrimshaw Pilsner. And you know what? That's kind of it. I mean, to really kind of break it down, let's recap. Okay, Pilsners, they're clean, they're good, but you got to check them out yourself. Now, we are going to head into our 15 for 12 right now. And what I've basically been sipping on for this episode, hold on, I'll take another sip. I remember always getting this beer when I worked in a beer retailer. It was just a nice, easy drinking beer. It's a German Pilsner. It's called Bitburger. Not really crazy expensive. It comes in a 1-pint bottle, 500 milliliters if you're European or non-American and you believe in the metric system. But, see, yeah, it's a German import, but because they don't have to, there's no ABV on it. But like I said, they're usually around 4 or 5 at the most. Yes, it's got that goldenish color, light gold, I'd probably say. Really clean on the nose. And it does have that bitter taste, like, it's definitely from the hops. But I the only way I can personally describe it just tastes European. When I think of European imports, this is exactly what I think of, and it just holds true to that. It's a really, really easy drinking beer. Nothing crazy, just complex enough to have a little complexity, but it's good. I mean, you can drink this all year round. It's not going to bog you down if you're drinking it out by the pool. Like I said, wintertime coming up, it's nice, good, easy drinking beer. Now, our second beer for this week's Beer Flow 15 for 12. This beer that I'm about to try and let you guys in on, this was kind of the inspiration to do this episode. All right. So, like I said, this next beer, this was pretty much, I'll say it, this is pretty much the inspiration to do a Pilsner Beer 101 episode. Like I said, we work on levels here. There's levels going on with this beer. This is the Stone Brew Wussy Pilsner. All right, so follow me here as I crack this open. Now, for years, and since I can remember, one of their taglines used to be, "We don't make fizzy yellow beer." And I thought that was great. It went with the whole theme of their arrogant bastard, just kind of them being kind of jerks, and we don't, whatever. They were one of the basically one of the breweries that just kind of took hold and just ran the show as far as being big hop forward, big crazy hoppy beers, and then they started getting it. You know the story. But yeah, fizzy yellow beers, they did not do until now. I saw it in the store. I couldn't believe it. I was a little floored. And yeah, that was truly the inspiration for this. So let's get the pour on here. All right, so to bring you up to speed, I have just poured my Wussy beer. So to give a little description here, it for one is an absolute contradiction of everything you would think of. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, so you're hearing me talk about Stone Brew making a beer called Wussy beer. What would you imagine it to look like? Okay, well, I'll tell you if you haven't seen it already. It is in, for one, it comes in 6-pack, 16-ounce cans. The can itself is just black. It is a black can. It's got their gargoyle head in gray, and it's a huge image of the gargoyle face, and that's it. And then right along the can, in bold red print, it says "Wussy," and it's awesome. I think it's great. All right, now to kind of keep with the traditional pills, it is. If I'm reading this correctly, my eyeballs are not 100%, but it does looks like it says 5.8 ABV. Okay, so super, super green on the nose. And like I said, it's not green like yeah, it's green hoppy, but I mean it tastes really fresh, like earthy green. Oh God. Okay, so you do get a nice sweetness from the malt, but it definitely, see, what's crazy is it tastes a little European, but after having an actual German beer, it tastes way more American, but so good. It's got a real, I mean, the best way to describe it is a real nice earthy taste to it. It's hearty. As crazy as it sounds, this is a hearty Pilsner. It is not weak where other Pilsners, think of all your European imports. I'll say the big names, like your Heinekens, your Warsteiners, all those. Those have a very distinct European taste, and more importantly, like like that European aftertaste. This does not fall into that category. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's a clean aftertaste, but I mean I don't mean that in a disrespectful or bad way. It's just the flavor that lingers. It's got a nice, it's like a real earthy bouquet that kind of just stays there on the tongue. It's nice. It's just mellow. It's mellow, but it's good. It is really, really good. This is definitely a Pilsner I would highly recommend to anyone that wants to check back into Pilsners. See, I did it again. To see, what's going on, who's got good stuff. And right now, yeah, Stone Wussy, this thing is legit. Check it out. Definitely worth it. And that's it. Once again, we've all survived another episode of the Beer Flow podcast. Thank you guys so much. We totally appreciate the love. We see the love online. We see it through Instagram. We see it on Facebook and Twitter. We love it. Thank you so much. We appreciate the love. Go to iTunes. Check us out. We'd love to get a rating from you. Good or bad, we'll take the hits. We want to put out something, and we want to hear and get your guys' feedback. We'd love to hear from you. We got big, like I said, we still have big stuff to come. I can't get into it yet, but we do have some more stuff coming up. Please check out the website, thebeerflow.com. Check us out on Untapped. We'll friend you. It's a great little app. You sit there and you kind of rate and review. It's a nice little, I guess, app version of Rolodexing all the beers you tried. We can have your beer friends. We'd love to be your beer friend on Untapped. Check us out, The Beer Flow. That's it. Not going to leave you hanging. So, being that this is a Pilsner episode, Pilsners by and large are clean and smooth, a little, laid back. And for me, I had to go with a classic. I thought of smooth. I thought of clean. I thought of laid back. But I also thought of just importance. And this guy was to this day, he's probably one of my favorite rappers of all time. Just some of the lines he would kick, so smooth, so smooth. He is the smooth operator. Very pre-woo. From the 1988 classic album, Long Live the Cane. This week's Beer Flow Jam of the Week, Ain't No Half Steppin' by Big Daddy Kane. Please check it out. If you haven't already heard it before, if you have heard it, listen again. Fall in love with it again. Tell someone. Tell a millennial. Check this out. You need to be listening to this. We love you guys. Thank you so much. On behalf of myself, Greg, on behalf of Einstein, on behalf of Real Deal, thank you so much for the love and support. We will check you guys next time. Like I said, we got big stuff happening. Don't sleep. Everyone here at the Beer Flow, thank you so much. Remember our motto here at the Beer Flow: trendy is cool, but longevity is cooler. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this. I'm just gonna sit here laid back to this nice mellow beat, you know, and drop some smooth lyrics. Cause it's 88. Time to set it straight, you know what I'm saying? And there ain't no half stepping. Word. I'm ready. Rappers stepping to me. They wanna get some, but I'm the Kane, so yo, you know the outcome. Another victory, they can't get with me. So pick a BC date, cause you're history. I'm the authentic poet to get lyrical. For you to beat me, it's gonna take a miracle. And stepping to me, yo, that's a wrong move. So what you on, Hobbs? Dope a dog food. Competition, I just devour. Like a pit bull against a chihuahua. Cause when it comes to being dope, hot damn, I got it good. Now let me tell you who I am. The B-I-G-D-A-D-D-Y-K-A-N-E. Dramatic, Asiatic, not like many. I'm different, so don't compare me to another. Cause they can't hang, word to the mother. At least not with the principal in this pedigree. So when I roll on your rappers, you better be ready to die because you're petty. You're just a butter knife, I'm a machete. This made by Ginsu, wait until when you try to front so I can chop into your body. Just because you try to be basing, Friday the 13th, I'ma play Jason. No type of joke, gag, game, puzzle, or riddle. The name is Big Daddy, yes, big, not little, so define it. Here's your walking papers, sign it, and take a walk as the Canes start to talk, cause